So you know what time it is, right? It is Feedback Friday. I hope you had a really terrific Christmas. I hope you got everything that you wanted, but most importantly, I hope you had good quality time with people you love and family. Today is Feedback Friday, and we're going to learn a technique. It's not so much a composition technique today, but it is a technique, and it's called low key or high key painting. And I'm going to teach you a couple of things about this I think that will be helpful. And they're not necessarily things you expect them to be. And we're going to review 6 different paintings. Let's look at the paintings right now that we're going to be reviewing. We have a lion painting. What else do we have? A portrait, landscape, another, let's see, a building, a hallway, well, I don't know what to call that, a figure painting, and landscape painting. So we're going to do that today. The critical part of learning to art, learning to art. What am I saying? The critical thing about learning to paint or to draw is composition. Composition is one of the key things that changes everything. One of the other one is design and values, but composition is really all about design, right? And if you get your composition right, along with your great values, it's going to really sing. That painting's going to sing. We talk a lot about composition and values on this program. We always check those things. But feedback is really critical to getting to the next level, because we can't see it ourselves. So when someone else gives us a critique, or if you're watching another painting being critiqued, you can learn from that too. Because you need to be going through, when I'm showing these paintings, even if they're not your painting, you need to be asking yourself, what would I do? And that's the very first thing I want you to ask when you do this, okay? So let's get this show officially started.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhodes.
Well, we're here at Art School Live. We're here every weekday at 12 noon. I'm Eric Rhodes. We hope you'll subscribe to this program. Go on YouTube and look up Art School Live. That would be cool. I am the publisher of art magazines, art newsletters, art events, art conventions, art books, art videos, art everything, right? And I have spent a lot of time working with a lot of people on their art, consulting them, working with artists, working with galleries, a lot of people. And after a couple of decades of this, I don't know if I'm any better than I was when I started, but I hope maybe just a little bit, right? So here are the rules. We're going to be kind. We're going to be really generous with people. We don't want to cut them down. When you're critiquing, you want to look for something very positive if you possibly can, because people are sensitive. I'm so sensitive. Anyway, we want to make sure that we don't destroy people, because we want them to keep working on things. Every artist started out doing bad paintings or bad drawings. It's just part of the deal. And so I saw on television last night, embrace the suck, right? You're going to suck for a while, but embrace it, because that's okay. I couldn't paint. I thought you needed natural talent. I didn't have any natural talent. I couldn't draw a stick figure. Honestly, it was a mess. And then I convinced myself I couldn't do it. And then I was able to learn finally, but I had many missteps. I had instructors tell me I couldn't do it, that I shouldn't do it, that I should stay away from it. And I just kept persisting because of my personality, but most people would have given up. And I finally learned to paint, and I finally somebody that helped me break through. That's my goal, is to help you break through. If you're new to this, or if you want to get to the next level. So remember, everything here is an opinion, nothing personal. I'm not here to hurt. I'm here to help. My goal is to find something that will help you get this painting better. All right. Now, it's hard for me to watch the comments and do this, because I'm looking at my tablet. And so if I'm not in the comments, please, my apologies right in advance, but go into the comments right now. Tell us where you're watching from. It's nice to hear from you. Thank you. We have people all over the world watching. As we've said before, we've had 16 million views. We're right at the edge of getting 150,000 followers. I don't know exactly where we are today, but let's do it before the new year. Okay. Now, did we show the paintings? We did. Okay. We're going to get right into it. If you want to submit painting, here's how to do it. Go to streamlinepublishing.com/feedback-Friday. And if you make changes after we give you some suggestions, send them back in. We'd love to have it. We have a lot of people waiting in line to get this, but we want to try and give you new feedback after you've done it. All right. So I'm going to, let's pull up the first one here. I'm going to take a drink of water. That's because I've been talking too much, too fast. Okay. So I'll tell you what, before we do this, normally I do save the composition for last, but I'm going to do it first today because I think this is going to help in a lot of these compositions. So let's take that one down and let's bring up my tablet. Okay. So there are paintings that are low key paintings, meaning they're dark paintings, and there are high key paintings, meaning they are light. So what do they have in common? Well, let's just talk about this. These are dark and these are light. Okay, so in a low key painting, the painting is not about the dark, it's about the light. In a high key painting, it's not about the light, it's about the dark. Okay, so I'm just going to give a couple little examples here. So let me pull up something just really crazy here. So I'm going to do the roof of a house right here. And I'm going to do, just part of the roof. And I'm going to do a window. Okay, if that were my painting, that painting is all about the light. It's the light that's drawing you in. If I'm doing a high key painting, it's really all about the dark. So maybe this is what it's all about. Okay. So obviously I could draw that in, but it's all about the darks. It's the darks that draw attention. So let me give you some examples of this, and I might even draw on them if I can find them. Okay. So I've taken a lot of these from different websites, and so my apologies to whoever. This is a low-key painting, and it's really all about the light, right? So you've got really the light is standing out here, and you've got light, there's light on all of this, but it's really about the light. So let's look at another one. This one is a low-key painting. Thank you to Fine Art America. This one is all about the light, right? It's dark everywhere. And so you've got spots of light here and here, and that's all about the light. And, the temptation would be to render all of this and make it visible. Probably when you sat in the room, it probably was visible, but this makes it more dramatic. So let's talk about this one. This is a low-key painting. It's really all about the light, the light, the light, the light. Here, there's all this other stuff. There's another window back there. There's all kinds of people here watching. You can't really see them. It's very hard to see, but it's really a low-key painting, right? So here's a photographer. This is from Fine Art America. Thank you. This is a low-key, right? It's really all about the light, right? And little spots of light. Everything else is relatively dark. And here is another photograph. Thank you to Fine Art America. And this is really all about the light, right? And that's what really makes something stand out. Now this is something that I don't know if YouTube will accept it. You can't tell what it is, but this is a low-key painting where it's all about the light. All right, so here are some high-key paintings. Now this is a high-key painting, and this is really almost all high-key, but the darks do stand out a little bit in this. And so, this is one variation. This is completely high key. Here is a high key painting. It's a little fuzzy, but this painting really, it's all about these darks. These darks really make this painting. These darks in here make that painting. Here is a really famous high key painting, and it is about the darks, right? It's about the shadows in this particular case. So keep in mind that sometimes you can put a couple of dramatic darks in. This one is interesting. This is 𝗙𝗵𝗁𝗱𝗆. This one is very high key, and really what's the focal point? The darks. stand out. Now, this isn't a perfect example of that. You got dark standing out here, you got a little dark in here, but this is where the darkest is, and the dark of this here, the dark of her hair, it's making her stand out. Dark's here. Okay, let's see. Here's another one. I'm going to ask you, is this high key or is this low key? I think it's low key because it's all very dark. This is really all about this, and this. And of course, the baby is the focal point, but they didn't put light on that. They put on light on a lot of other things just to create mystery. This one, what do you think this is? This is low key or high key? I think it's low key. And really the most light is right here on this dude here. This is dude. Okay. So they got a big spot of light in here, but it's not as light. They kind of kept it muted back, which is kind of nice. Now, so let's go to our very first painting. Let's go to our lion painting. The first thing we're going to do is ask ourselves, now that we have this lesson, is this a high key or a low key painting? Now, the reality is that in a high key painting, you want the majority of it to be in light. This particular one, it's kind of half and half. And so you could probably enhance that darkness or that lightness because this is a little of both. So let's look at this lovely painting. This is by, I can't tell who it is, can't read it, but let's do our composition trick. First off, we're going to do tic-tac-toe, and I'm looking for intersections of lines for focal point areas. And oh, look here, the line is right here in the focal point. Good job on that. Now let's check it from the standpoint of whether or not anything is dead center. And, you know, really it looks like, I can't really tell because of the black and white version. This might be horizon back here. That's kind of dead center on this line, but I can't tell. It might be down here. I will look on the color version in a minute, but nothing else is dead center in the middle. And that's really a good thing. Typically, now you can break the rules. All rules are made to be broken. And let's look at values, darks and lights. What can we do here with this? Well, we have a light value in the front. We have a lot of light value back here. We have a little light value on the lion, and we have some darks. But where is the darkest dark? Does anybody know where the darkest dark is? Can you tell? I'm looking at this and I'm saying, where is the darkest dark? I'm having a hard time finding it. I would say it's probably in here, maybe a little in here, and a little bit under here. So I might, if I were going to try to make this a really low-key painting, I might just jazz this up just a little bit. I might look for a way, even though all this detail might be lost, I might look for a way to really pump up the darks on this. Maybe it's, you know, really making the darks stand out, and then everything else is about the light. But that's one way to look at it. But I think you could, no matter what, you could get some stronger darks in this in the foreground. That will help it a lot. Let's look at the color version. Okay. Now, this is lovely. Very nice job. It's really a beautiful painting. I see a couple of things. First off, I like the composition. I think it's really good. This lion or tiger, whatever it is right where it should be, I think. And the question is, where do you want the eye to go? Because what's happening is my eye is going down here a little bit, and my eye is going back here a lot. There's a little spots of light up here, and there's a little bit of light on here. And of course, he's drawing the most of the attention because he or she is a different color and standing out. But again, let's play with this for just a second. Let's see what we might do. The first thing is I might just go ahead and mute back some of this grass in here. And the reason is it's not really lending much. I mean, you know, there's going to be grass around there, and you could still put little hints of grass in, but if you, sorry to cover your name there, whoever you are, but get some nice darks in the front. That will enhance this quite a bit. And all of a sudden my eye is not being drawn over there. That helps. The other thing I would probably do is when you have a light, you want that light to stand out. You want it to be against the dark. So you've got the animal against the dark, but what if we put a nice strong dark in here and we had this tree kind of go like this? And now look at what happens if you were to put this tree in here like that, the darker part under the tree. It makes the lion stand out a little bit more. And of course you can you can figure out how to put the leaves and things on here. But I'm not so sure I would put a lot of light on there. I would just kind of kiss it with a little bit of light to bring the eye down to the tiger. So I might kind of go, something like this, a little bit of light down in here, but not everywhere, because I want to kind of draw the light to the tiger. And the other thing I'd probably do is I'd look for a light that might be hitting these rocks right in here, and kind of, pump up the light in a couple of areas right in here. So not so much back here, because back here is drawing the eye away, right? So if you pump up the light in a couple areas, and then I would look for a way to add to the glow of this beautiful lion. But it's really nice. But I might just try to add to that glow just a little bit more. My cursor's a little bit thick, but if you add to that glow, that's going to really make that lion pop. And you've done a good job of making it pop, but I would just look at that a little bit more. The rest of this is fine, because the tree is beautifully rendered. I wouldn't put spots of light on it any more than you have, because it's well done. And remember, you're trying to get people here. So good job, A+. All right. Next, we have what? We have this beautiful portrait of this lovely lady, very pretty lady. This is from Kristen Coco in Texas, where we all carry guns. I'm just kidding. Okay, so this, to me, when I saw this, and Kristen, it's beautifully rendered. It's very photorealistic, assuming it is photorealistic and not brought into Photoshop and then just manipulated. So if it is painted, and I think it is, I looked at it pretty closely, this is really nice. And let's look at it from a composition standpoint. The first thing, let's look at the dead center. Okay, not much going on dead center, maybe that line there, but that's not egregious. And I like the way that they've placed her here, or you have. The other thing is, let's look at the other composition. Really, this is focal point. So I think it's well placed. I don't think I'd move it back. I think it's very comfortable. It's kind of a triangle design, and that's really lovely. And so that's really good. You've got a nice strong dark in here. You've got your lights, your darks very light back in here. So it's there. You can get a sense of it, but it's not egregious. This dark here is a little lighter than your main dark. So that's okay. I might, if I were playing with this a little bit, if I were just getting really picky, I might look for a way to just get a little bit more dark into this scarf to create a little bit more form. And I might look for a way to get a little bit more form on her face. Not much, because it's really, really nice. But anyway, let's look at the color, because that's where we're going to learn the most. And ask yourself, is this a high key or is this a low key? Right? Well, it's about half and half, really, isn't it? So this is just so wonderfully done. I'm not a big photorealistic person, but I'm going to look at a couple of things. First off, there are entry points in this painting, which are kind of nice. I normally would say I don't want a lot of color over here. I mean, a lot of light over here. But what's happening is you're bringing me in here, you're bringing me up here, then you're bringing me to here. And that's kind of nice. And so that's an entry point. This back here is beautifully done. I love that. And quite frankly, I think, whoops, what have I done here? Oh, my tablet wasn't keeping up. I think, that you've got it just about perfect. I think that I would probably, like I said, I would probably get a little bit more light, or a little bit more dark in here in a couple of places, just to kind of give that a little bit more sense of form. But this is being ultra picky. There's not much there. And then, you might be able to add a little bit more darkness. You've got to be careful when you're painting a female portrait, because if you get lines, you're going to make her look like an old lady, and she's not. So, there's not much more I would do. This is pretty soft back in here, and I think that's good. If you wanted to, you could soften up some of these windows back here, because there's a lot of detail, and that's a lot of work, by the way. I know you worked really hard on that. So you could soften all this up in the back, and what that does is it just brings even more focus to the lady in the front. And so I'm not a big photorealistic guy. I like to see a little brushwork and so on. And I can't really tell when I zoom in on it. It looks to me like it's painted, but it also looks to me like it could have been photoshopped. And so I'm not sure about it, but I think it's really lovely. And so congratulations on that. You're getting an A+ on that one too. Next, we have a barn. Okay. So this one is from Lynn Peterson in Florida. Congratulations, Lynn. It's a really lovely painting. I like a lot about it. I like the feel of it. I like this big giant angle. This angle is really, really inviting. And I like the fact that you've kind of done this angle here. So let's look at this from the standpoint, is this a high key or is this a low key? What are we trying to get people to do here? What do we want them to do? Where do we want to take the eye? Well, let's first off look at composition. Dead center, nothing. We're good there. Now, what about compositional technique? Okay, we got our primary composition here, a little secondary in here. That's good. And in the black and white version, I think this is a really great time to make an example of something. Where do we want the eye to go? Do we want it to go up into here? Do we want it to go up into here? Do we want it to go down here? Where do we want it to go? My guess, I'm not the artist, but if I were the artist, I would probably say I want it to go here. And so what do we do to draw attention to that? One of the things you can do in high key and low key is you can fake things. Even though it's not what you see, you can mute things back a little bit, and that will make a big difference. And so what if, for instance, let's pretend there's a shadow or something in here, and we're going to mute all of this back, right? So what this does, first off, is it's bringing all the attention to the roof line, right? Now, I would probably, there's all this stuff up in here, which is drawing my eye. And so I might say, okay, let's figure out how to mute some of this back, not take the eye all over the place. Maybe we leave a little bit of this in, but you know there's a sky and there's a sun. And so maybe we just kind of mute a lot of this back. I wish I could do this faster, but we mute a lot of this back in here. And then what we do is we make this all about this barn. And so we're muting it back. We're going to put some spots of light in it, but we're just going to try and draw the eye into one particular area. And of course, you can soften all this stuff in here and try to make it, make it a lot softer. But now what happens is this, especially if we were to do this, get rid of this, a lot of this in the front and hide a lot of that. Now, all of a sudden that barn's going to really pop, right? And if you wanted to, you could say, all right, well, I'm going to keep some of this sunlight in there, but maybe not all of it. So you're going to just kind of leave a little bit of it in there. And then what you do is you really pump up the light. So I'd look for a way to really pump up the light in here. That's a little pink for some reason. But you pump up the light in here on this and on this and on this. Now, the other thing that I don't think works is I don't like things that are evenly spaced. So you got a space here and you got a space here and they're even. So what if you were to take, I like things that overlap. So what if you take that building there and maybe that other building there, and then you get rid of them in here, over here. And that way it just kind of puts everything kind of together in one place. And that becomes more of a focal point. I would probably darken that roof a little bit. And I might even put a little bit of a shadow on that roof so that it's not taking over the whole thing, so maybe that's a little softer, but the idea here is that you just kind of, now you're making it about this. Now what you do is you go in here and you take these trees and right around where you want people to go, you look for ways to put, a little bit of touch of those trees on there and kind of lead the eye in. And that's kind of what I would do. Now let's look at the color version because it's going to change everything. All right. So really lovely job on this, Lynn Peterson. So I think about the same thing as let's just mute this back just a little bit. I'm going to mute this color in here down, and I'm just going to try to keep this more low key, maybe not as low key as I had it, but just taking that light out there helps a lot. And I'm going to take this looks a little black to me. I would like to see it a little bit maybe bluer or something. So let's see if we can find something. Now that's a mountain in the background. So maybe we can find something that would be a little bit pleasing. So maybe just a little blue. And that way it's not a lot of black. Black can be overpowering. Now that could be, shadow in there, and you could have shadow kind of coming across here, and maybe you have light in there, maybe you don't. But the idea is, now we've got this light in here and this light to deal with here. I think what I would do is I'd probably just try to mute some of this back just a little bit more, because you might want a little peek of it showing through, but where are you trying to take the eye is always the question. And so I want to take the eye over here. So I'm going to take these trees, I'm going to mute them back in here, and especially darker over on the sides. And I'm just going to take all of this and kind of bring this down to a little brighter key. I'm going to put a shadow on that house like we talked about earlier. And so, you can assume there's a tree or something in the background. So I'm just going to take that at a little bit of angle. And I would, of course, soften that edge where that shadow meets, because it's usually pretty soft there. And then I would pump up the light on this roof a little bit more. And then again, I would move these two things over here just a little bit more, and I'd get rid of these here. So that all of a sudden it just draws the eye there. Now the other thing, as I mentioned, you can put some spots of light on some trees around here so that you're drawing the eye kind of this section of the painting. Okay, beautiful job, Lynn. All right, what's next? Okay, we have a really pretty watercolor painting. Wow, this is really nice, very nice. This is from Eileen. Congratulations, Eileen, it's lovely. I think there's a lot of nice things about it. First off, the perspective on this is wonderful. You're really drawing my eye in, and it really becomes about this person here and about, these columns that are leading me in. You have these shadows in here, they're lovely. Everything about this is really well rendered, and that's not easy with a watercolor. I think what I would do, whoops. Okay, now I can't get rid of those lines now that I messed it up. So I'm going to go into the color version. So I like this a lot. I think that you've done a good job of making these kind of disappear back in here. They're a little softer. So this one is really dark and this one's less dark. I would make this one here a little bit more dark and this one over here a little bit less dark. And you've got that fading back. And I think that's just a little thing. I would like to see a little bit more bluish color in your shadows. The shadows tend to be cool. They're pretty cool. They're kind of gray, but I would like to see, this is a cement walkway, I assume, or wood walkway. So I would probably look for a way to pump up this light in these areas a little bit so that it's more contrasty in terms of getting some sense of yellow in there. And you want to always get a lot of variation in this. So you take the same value, but you try to get, some different variations of things in there. And then I would probably look for a way to get a little bit of bluish in these shadows, at least a little bit here and there. I think it just would help it feel good. Be careful about the edges of shadows. These are pretty sharp, and they're probably okay to be sharp, but I would loosen up some of these edges in here. And I like this variation in here. I think that's really nice. Now, what are we really trying to do? We're trying to get people to go down to this woman at the end. This woman is approaching her. I would look for a way to pump her up just a little bit, get some light on her shoulders, maybe a little bit more light on the top of her head. And then, down here, what I would probably do is look for a way I could darken that. Darks in watercolor are tricky because watercolor doesn't want to be dark, but I would get the darks at least around her so that it really enhances her a little bit. And then, you might want to look for a way that you can pump up the light on her just a little bit more. This is all really lovely in here. I think this is good. This does not have to be defined out there. And I think I probably would consider muting back just a little bit more of this up here. It's fighting it just a little. So maybe just mute it back just a little bit. You don't have to render every little line. The people get the idea. And if you mute things back, because you always got to be asking yourself, where do I want the eye to go? And you're bringing the eye down here to her. I would maybe look for a way that I could get something really exciting down here. Maybe there's like just a glow of light that's happening here, something that just makes it just really stand out just a little bit more. That's not quite right, but certainly around her. And the other thing is, keep in mind, is in perspective, typically eye level and eye level are about the same time, about the same height. So in theory, this woman in the front, I'm assuming it's a woman, and this woman in the front would be here because her eye level would be the same as her eye level there. Okay, that's beautiful. What do we have next? Oh, we are celebrating something. Okay, so this is Todd from Michigan. Hey, Todd, nice job. Okay, we're going to play games here. Again, there's no right or wrong. All right. So, Todd, is this a high key painting or a low key painting? Okay, let's find out. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's go dead center, and let's go dead center. Well, the figure is dead center, but the horizon is not, and that's good. And quite frankly, with this type of painting, it probably works best if she's dead center, right? So I think that works. I mean, this is a great example of sometimes you need things to be dead center. I like the concept here. The little boy, you're wondering about this. I had an idea that we'd take the little boy and we'd push him out in the field a little bit further, like he's walking away, and that would make everything a little bit more interesting. But that's just an idea. It's not necessarily the right thing. So I can tell from the canvas that you're painting on that this is a cheap canvas, and cheap canvases drive me nuts. And I'm all about saving money, but you're seeing a lot of this is a cotton canvas, and I can see it's just sucking up the paint. And of course, I don't mind canvas showing through, but it's a tight weave canvas. Just doesn't make me real happy. Where is your darkest dark? Let's figure out how to get a little bit more dark in here. Get a little bit, now this is kind of rim lit, but let's figure out how to get a little bit more dark around her to create a little bit more form. And also on the kid, right? And then maybe do something in the front here to you've done that a little bit over here. So you might want to lead the eye in, how, with your weed lines are kind of leading the eye in. And then maybe you have a big shadow in here since she's behind it. And that way you get rid of all of this. Now, I think we're going to turn this into a low key painting. I'm going to show you in a minute. So let's look at the color. All right. So this is not the one I wanted to look at. I kind of pre-drew that, and I don't know what I did with it. There it is. Okay. So again, I would say the canvas is bugging me. How would you make this into a high key painting? What you would do is you would enhance the darks, and you can enhance darks in something even more than what you see. So we could take this field in here and make that about the same value as that blue in there. And you know what? Nobody's going to know the difference, right? You got this just kind of feels in silhouette. And so now what's happening is we're making a big dark statement. And a big dark statement is a beautiful thing. And then what if we just take this dress in here and we kind of just darken this a little bit more, and we make this really a good, strong dark. So it really stands out as a good, strong dark. And, you're going to have light around the rim of it, but we really make that stand out in the back. So there's not a lot of light hitting there, but all of a sudden, just that strengthens it. And I would even consider, maybe we take this dark and we keep it fairly dark in here, and we just kind of go over here, and we maybe even kind of in here. So we're keeping the spot of light kind of in the focal point in the middle. That's kind of fun. Now what I would do is, this is where this really gets fun. I would look for rim light. Rim light is a beautiful thing. And so what I'm going to do, because she's a blonde, I'm going to take some rim light here, and I'm going to make it, well, this is probably the wrong color, but I'm taking rim light, and I'm going to take that rim light. It's going to be adjusted for the color, but I'm going to take that rim light all around her, right? And that really helps. And take some rim light around him. I think it's a boy. And so that's going to make it stand out. But to make it stand out, maybe you want to get some of this darker in here against that light. Just keep it very subtle. And now what happens is they really stand out. Now, you know, not everything that she's looking into the light, not everything has to be in the light. So you can manipulate that a little bit. And then what I would probably do is I'd look for a way to really pump up the, you know, the yellow light in here, yellow pinkish light in this particular case. And I think these clouds, the patterns of the clouds are kind of busy. So I would just kind of make this really a big solid. We don't have to have our hand touching the sky. We could, but I'd make this a big solid shape in here. It's hard to do this fast and without messing everything up and showing all these lines. But now what you can do is you can kind of point that stuff down into here. So it's like pointing into him. And of course you want this to be good. And then I would just take some of this gray and I would kind of fill in the rest of it with the gray. So what we're doing is we're really making the whole thing stand out in that light. And you know, look for a way to make this feel like clouds and so on, but just to do that. That's just how I would probably do it. And, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect like that. You can go in here and smudge a bunch of this stuff and make it feel cloud-like, and that could do it. And then I would darken her hair so that her hair on the inside is stronger. And I think what happens is you silhouetted your figure, you've silhouetted part of her hands, and you can still have that light on the edge of her hands. But now see how much stronger it seems if you just get that brilliance in there. And so things when you're facing the sun, trees especially, are typically big silhouettes. So now you can add some finesse to it. You can add a little bit of form into her hands, you know, so on the edge of there. But that way now this becomes a low-key painting with a spot of highlight. Okay, we have one more painting to do. And that is this one. Okay, let me see if I can find it. All right. So this is from Pat Doherty in Arizona. Congratulations, Pat. Nice job on this. Looks to me like an Arizona sunset to me. I can't tell from the black and white painting, but here's what, let's play some games here. Okay, first off is dead center. Ooh, we've got this dead center. That might be something that you might want to think about changing. Let's look at the tic-tac-toe board, you know, the equal thirds composition. You know, could you put this line over here instead of dead center? So this becomes your focal point. I think the question I have here, Pat, is where do you want the eye to go? Because when you see light and color, chroma especially draws the eye. So you got light here, you got light here, you got light here, 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 light here. Where does the eye want to go? Now, if you wanted to take the concept of a low-key painting, then maybe what you do is you pick a spot. See, what happens when we paint is we see things that we like and we want everything to be the same. So what if we just said, you know what? Let's get rid of this big streak of light back here because it's drawing my eye out and it's not necessarily lending to anything. Even though that's what you saw, sometimes you have to mess with nature. Now, just by doing that, see what happens. All of a sudden, this becomes more powerful because all of a sudden, you know, you've got the big spot of light. Now, you take, you know, a big bright light right in here and maybe a couple places in here. And, you know, you kind of keep it over there. If this is brighter than this, then this still kind of has a feel, but it mutes back. But this is where you put all your brightness. And so you can really, you know, enhance that. And this then becomes your focal point. So let's look at the color version of this and see if we want to do something in the color. Wow, that's really pretty. I love the colors, Pat. Okay, so here's what's happening is you got the sun in the horizon, then you got the clouds, and then you got a big cloud here. You get catching a little light here, and then you got this big sky color that's catching a lot of light. And so what's happening again is the eye doesn't know where to go. And so let's just kind of do what we did before. We could do this variations. So we could kind of bring some of this color down and maybe not so much light on the edges over here. And maybe we bring this color up into here. And so one thing we could do is we could just say, okay, let's just make it about this spot here. And then we would probably mute this back in here. And that could work really nicely. So you just kind of take that greenish color, you make that kind of mute this back, and now all of a sudden it really becomes about this. Or the other option is to do what we did before, and that is to make this about this. And so I think the sky is nice, but I would probably mute it back just a little bit where this yellow is, because we want to create a nice contrast area so that when we put that halo lighting in, that'll make sense. And so you can have a nice contrast here. I would, because of the light over here, I would probably just get rid of that light on these edges. And I'd even get rid of some of this light up here. And then I would just really pump it up in here. So I might take this yellow and just like pump it up. Like, woohoo, this is fun, and you might have some of that yellow popping out here. And then, if you wanted to, you could have all of this become, you can get the sense of the light coming through. I assume this is a mountain down here, but I can't tell for sure. And so it just feels like I don't know where the eye should look. If this is a mountain, it probably was red like that, but I would probably make sure you could tell it's a mountain by, getting the right kind of color tones in there. And it's picking up the light of the mountain. But again, most of it's going to be, sorry to overcome your signature. And the other thing is, if you want to enhance that mountain and make something a focal point, you could do that so that it, now it's a mountain. And then if you wanted to do this, you could kind of leave some of that light kind of down there. Make this all about the clouds. You see what I'm trying to get at is, now even this, just by simplifying this, it helps the rest of the composition. Then I would probably look for a way to kind of mute it on the edges, not quite so much. So the light kind of travels outward. So maybe it's something like this. And, you could even kind of take them up into here if you wanted to, but I don't think I would do that. But you have to kind of pick, do I want this or do I want this? I think it's lovely. So just kind of play with it and send another version to me and we'll see what's happening. Okay, so to reiterate is low key is about the light, high key is about the dark. You got that? Okay, I think that's it. Now I want to tell you guys about something else. First off, we have Art Business Mastery Day coming up. It is June, where am I? January 10th. It's $45 and it's designed to help you really crush it. So you have a really great 2025. And I've got several guests. You can go to the website and check it out. But this is something that I think if you want to make a little bit more money, invest $45. And we are expecting thousands of people. And we can give you a couple tips that will make your year. And of course, you have to do all the work. But if you follow those tips, you're likely to have pretty good success. And then there's 8 hours worth of content on here. I mean, this should be hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But I wanted to get you guys started for the year and have a really good year. And so this is my way of doing it, bringing my guests on. And by the way, I couldn't teach you all my art marketing years of knowledge in probably months. So we're going to touch on some highlights. We're going to touch on all kinds of things that you need that have to do with social media, newsletters, pricing, you name it. We're going to get into it. So that is Art Business Mastery Day. To get there, go to my company. It's called streamlineartevents.com/marketing. Say that one more time. streamlineartevents.com/marketing. I have a few more days left until the 31st. you can still book a room. You could book a room after, but you might not get it because the hotel wants them back because our event for Winter Art Escape is taking place in February and during Valentine's Day. It's a great Valentine's Day gift plus Christmas gift, holiday gift, post-Christmas gift, whatever. And then we're going to be painting in the oldest city in America, St. Petersburg, which is like going to Spain. It's really pretty, a lot of beautiful architecture, beautiful plants, beautiful everything. So we'll go out and paint some oranges, some palm trees, some ocean, some lighthouses, some old buildings, some gardens. We're going to paint a little bit of everything. We're going to go to the Fountain of Youth on the first day. And so this is going to be a spectacular event. We still have some seats left. So that's winterartescape.com, but get it booked before the end of the month, because otherwise we have to let the seats go, any unsold rooms go. And so far we've got a lot of people that are coming, but we'd love to fill up the whole hotel, but otherwise we're going to have some other guests there that are not part of our group. Get it? All right. And then Watercolor Live is coming up in January around the, the 22nd. And then we have the Beginners Essentials Day on the 21st. And it's a 3-4 day event. Some of the greatest watercolor painters on earth. And we would love for you to come. Just go to watercolorlive.com/ASL. We have a free gift for you. The free gift today is a 97 Incredible Art Secrets. It's a couple-hour sample video of some of the videos that we've produced at painttube.tv over the years. And you get it for free. You can instantly download it and watch it. And there's some really great tips on there. Or if you want a DVD, because some people still want that, you can pay the shipping for the DVD, which is not much. So just go to 97artsecrets.com/free. Hey, well, we're excited about the new year. We're excited about getting into it and teaching art business mastery. So we hope that you'll come. And thank you for tuning in today. I hope I didn't offend anybody. I hope I gave you some ideas that will make you a better painter. If you want to submit paintings, just submit them to me. Just send them to streamlinepublishing.com/feedback-Friday. Don't forget the dash. I don't know why we have to do such long names. We'll have to figure out a shorter name for next year. Anyway, submit your paintings and we will see you soon. Happy Friday.